There's an article, where was it, in the New York Times, about why time goes faster? No, it wasn't. We Googled it. Why does time seem to go faster the older you get? And it's convoluted theory. I mean, first of all, how's this for a mind blower? He said when you're a kid, you anticipate, you're looking forward constantly to the arrival of summer vacation. But when it gets here, summer's over in an eye blink. I don't know what planet that guy was living on, or what kind of childhood he had.
Yeah, more like.
My summers, as a child, lasted an ice age, a geological age. They went on forever. 3 months, it seemed to go on and on and on and on. It was heavenly compared to 2 days a week, free of escape from the societal concentration camp for indoctrination of bullshit, doo-doo, which is, what I considered school from kindergarten through high school. To be free of that for a summer was just like glorious and a huge amount of time. Now, summer's over before it starts. No question about it. Bing. So just that premise alone made me kind of dismiss a lot of what he had to say. I mean, are there any exceptions out there in TV land? Didn't summer last a long time to you as a kid? I don't know about kids now. They've got these clown communication devices and their soccer games and their summer camps, and I don't know. Maybe time goes maybe summer isn't any great long, relaxed, luxuriously slow-paced experience like it was when I was a kid.
Anyway, the point is, and this was the man's original question, was why does time seem to go faster the older we get? And which seems like he kind of negated his very question in answering that way about childhood. But that's yesterday we did just looking to see what other ideas were out there about this. And this man happened to say that he had done quite an extensive search through all different types of web pages and really couldn't find anybody addressing this question. So as I said, Arthur has a very interesting theory about why time seems to go faster as we get older.
The reason time goes faster when we're getting older is because we're not experiencing the passage of time anymore. We've stopped experiencing the here and now. Imagine that the fluid time, linear time, if such a thing really exists, it's like a movie film. You ever seen a movie film? It's like a 35 millimeter frame, like you shoot with your single-lens reflex or a good camera. Mm-hmm. It's one frame. The right now is in this room or wherever you are in TV land this is a frame of reality. If you could freeze it and cut it out of the film strip. What it is, it's running across the light of a projector, these sequential moments of now, the exact present, frozen. And they're running across the light from a projector at 24 of these frames per second, 1001, 24 frames have gone by. And suddenly it looks fluid and things are moving and looks like something's really happening. When we're kids, because we're not expert, because we're not sophisticated, because we've been kidding ourselves that we've seen all this before. We're excited. We're drinking it in. This is new. I can walk. Wow, look, I can walk. I can walk mein Führer. And we can, Frau Kommandantin, Kommandant, parent. We're enchanted with it. It's all new. It's all fresh. And the way it smells and the way it tastes, and we're drinking it in. It's likened to what we described on just a show a week ago, I guess, or so, was when you're driving to somebody's house for the first time, like we did out in Fairview the other night, dark, and it was out in the country, and following these directions, and it seemed to take a long time to get there, because we'd never been there before. And we had to really be in the here and now present, looking for clues and following directions and not wanting to get lost. Took a long time, seemingly. We get there, on the way back, there was nothing, because we didn't have to pay attention anymore. We were not experiencing those passing frames, those linear frames of now. We weren't here now anymore. We were talking about whatever. Similarly, the older we get, our minds work like a compression scheme. We do video editing. And compression is, in order to save storage space, you have one frame of video, like one frame of now. And if the leaves in that tree in one part of the frame, the video is 30 frames per second, and that tree, if the leaves aren't moving, when it goes to the next scene, compression just leaves that tree just the way it is, right through a whole bunch of frames, unless it moves, and then the wind comes up. Then it has to re-enter that data as something new, something fresh. But it only changes the things that change. It only recompresses the things that change in the picture. Similarly, the older we get, the more our minds say, I've seen this, done that. Hi, how are you? Fine, thanks, great, couldn't be better, and other such hilarious lies that pass for, meaningful exchanges. We start living life on autopilot, and we call the frames in that movie film the movie of our lives. It's always being projected by a projector here in our brain on what we call our screen of awareness, the way we perceive life and live our lives and go through it. It's a movie running called The Life of Arthur, Life of Katie, Life of Kat. And what happens, because our minds start saying, I've seen this, I don't really need to pay attention to this. I can think about the sales meeting last week, and oh my God, that's a rare instant where you can actually get in touch with how far behind the present you really are. When you're driving your car on autopilot and you're thinking about sex you had when you were 18 years old at the lake, and it was incredible, and all of a sudden, a car cuts right in front of you and you're going to have a collision. Your survival reflexes preempt all that back then nonsense you're looking at, a rerun of your life, and hurdles you into the present. And that's why a lot of people who have been in life-threatening situations attest to the fact that time seems to sickeningly slow down before the impact. People who've survived the jump from the Golden Gate Bridge report it's like falling forever. Survival takes over, preempts all the mind processing, and puts you right into the present. And all of a sudden, it seems to slow down suddenly because you start experiencing, relative to where you were, the ever-changing moments of now. You start seeing the frames of the film. So the reason time seems to go faster, time is time, when you get older, is that you're not experiencing its passage. You're in your head. You're thinking about what's coming up. You're thinking about what you did then, what you should have done, what you wish you could have done, what you shouldn't have done, and what maybe you'll do in the future or what's going to happen. That's where we live. The present is right now, this frame, and we're missing it. We're not there to experience it. So when we come to, here I am at work, guess if I can get a parking place, you're going to be lugged by the ears a little bit more in the present to kind of find a parking place or parallel park. But we're not around. We're on autopilot.
And I think that's what people at the end of life or when they are diagnosed with a terminal disease, like we know somebody who was diagnosed with cancer, and he said it was like his life went from black and white to color.
Melanoma.
Because he had that experience of realizing that how much of reality he'd been ignoring because it was boring. He'd seen it before. It didn't really require his attention. And realizing that how precious life is and every moment of it is just filled with experience. And that's what he meant by going to Technicolor is actually what the word he used, because he started seeing, the details that he'd been overlooking.
You might want to start appreciating it since you're about to check out.
Right. That's right.